Jane, and thanks, Howard. That screen's really very small, so a demonstration might not be appropriate, but I'll just go over a few points. This is the nuts and bolts section. Seeing as I have a captive audience, I thought maybe I'd try and get a few messages across. Three things really. First of all, to say thank you to Jane and to Howard for launching the OPuS today. OPuS is actually what's called a research repository, and it's been a long time coming. And I'll tell you a little bit about the OPuS service in a minute. Getting this up and running, as Jane was saying, has been quite a lengthy process. Initially, the project started late in 2006 with an institutional repository working party that was sponsored by the then Pro-Vice Chancellor for Research, Professor Kevin Edge, who's here today. To get this up and running has taken a lot of work, and I myself would like to say thanks especially to Kevin and to Jane, and also to Diana Newport-Peace, who's done a lot of the work behind the scenes, to the web services team for their work with the pilot repository, because they put a lot of hard work in there, to BUCS, and also to UConn for their expertise. UConn is a Centre for Expertise in Digital Information Management. I have that correct. And they have a lot of expertise in this area that we don't always see, but that goes on behind the scenes, and other universities in the UK benefit from their experience as well. And finally, not in the least, to Howard and to the library executive and to all my colleagues in the library, because they put a lot of work into research information and management of information, and they are a very professional bunch. Finally, just a few words on OPuS. Most universities in the UK have had projects like this, which are institutional repositories, up and running over the last 5 or 6 years, so it's a very recent initiative. Initially, they were built to support the idea of open access, which is making access to your research work more available rather than trapping it sort of in journals, which are increasing their subscription prices. But the software over the years has developed a bit more and widened its purpose. I won't go into the technical aspects, but OPuS uses a repository platform software called ePrints. ePrints is developed by the University of Southampton in the Electronics and Computer Science department. It's very focused on UK developments and has a great international user community. It's used by universities, government departments, and other organisations around the world. So we're really taking advantage of that development work that goes in and key issues that have been looked at around the UK and around the world. We're using that knowledge in their software. Recently I was speaking to a member of academic staff here in electronic engineering, and he was telling me that he did his PhD using much of the information that came from the Southampton repository, ePrints repository, because one of the researchers in his field had actually put all of his publications there, and as a PhD student he had access to that list of publications. So needless to say, he's since uploaded his entire publications history into OPuS and keeps up to date with his papers, his conference items, and things like that. Okay, so that just shows one of the strengths of ePrints, which is to help attract potential students, especially research degree students who might be looking at their options. They're given an opportunity to read and to digest their potential supervisors' work. I think this is a really good thing to encourage. What I'd like to do is ask or make a suggestion that any academics or researchers here today go back after this session, after the lunch, and check your publications list, as James suggested. The work in OPuS at the moment has come from the publications collection we did over the summer, and also from information that was in the publications section of the PIP. We've cleaned a lot of that up and put it into OPuS. There's still some tidying up work to be done. So I'd ask that you go back and have a look at what's in there for you. There is a browse by author function, so you could have a look and make sure you're there. If you're not there, let me know and we'll fix your publications up. But as far as I can tell, we've gone through and checked the departments and everybody seems to be there. Secondly, I'd say have a go at uploading your latest paper. That's a challenge I'm laying down for you. It may already be in there. If what we do every week is harvest or collect alerts from Web of Science, so if your publications are going into Web of Science, it may already be in OPuS. So have a look and see if it's there. If not, log in using your BUCS username and password, and it has just work your way through the deposit process. It's really easy. If you have the DOI, which is the Digital Object Identifier, it's really easy. You just need to paste that in, and it imports all the information into the relevant fields for you. So it's actually quite time-saving, quite sophisticated like that. Jane mentioned copyright. This is something that people kind of prefer not to know too much about when they're publishing papers. But next time a copyright transfer agreement comes across your desk, have a look through it and try and make sure at least that you retain the right to place a copy of your work on the internet, and that's what gets material up online. Most publishers have this written into their copyright transfer agreements already. They always come with conditions, but part of my job is to help you to figure out what the conditions are so that we're doing this nicely and legally. Versions. This is something that hasn't been important before, but it's suddenly important now. Most publishers won't let you put your published PDF on the internet. So we had emails in the past from publishers asking the library to tell academic staff to take down versions of their published PDF. But what they do allow is for you to put the content online, and often that content is your final peer-reviewed, accepted version. And that's something that gets the content of your work out there. What we do is we put a cover sheet on all these documents to say, this is the author's version made available in compliance with publisher policies. Here's a link to the actual published version. Please cite from that version, and here's the DOI, so you can go directly there. So it's a bit like the taster in Amazon, really. It's putting something there to let people know what's available, what your research is, and try and get them to increase the way they cite the papers from there. As Dan said, try and keep your OPuS up to date. We'll help you with that. I'll come around and speak to different departments. If you'd like me to come to your department and speak to staff, I'm more than happy to do that. And finally, OPuS itself, it's available from opus.barker.ac.uk. There are numerous bits of paper around here that you're more than welcome to pick up. They explain different things about the repository, and one of them is a guide for you to take back to departments. It's just got some very easy steps that take what I've said today and it just gives you something to take back with you. I look forward to working with everybody to get our publications up and running, and thank you very much for coming along today. That's great. Thank you.